How's it going, everybody? This is Trinity Collins, your host for the podcast Island, episode number 17. This podcast can be viewed only on YouTube at the One Man Island Productions YouTube channel. Clips of the podcast can be viewed on Instagram, Snapchat, TikTok, and YouTube Shorts. So, as I'm recording this on Saturday night at approximately 9:15 p.m., in 2 days, Monday night, the Chargers will be traveling to New Jersey to take on the Jets on Monday Night Football. The Chargers are going to have to deal with a lot with the Jets' defense, the running game, and a crazy fan base, and potentially bad luck. Because knowing the Chargers' history, something always goes against them when it comes to big games or when their season's on the line. So odds are this should be a low-scoring game, but then again, I wouldn't be shocked if the Jets put in an excellent performance. A lot's going, a lot's going for them at this point in the season to gain momentum. Rodgers, to my shock, appears to be healing way quicker than we all expected, knowing that it's an Achilles injury. And right now, the Chargers defense is reeling. They're not really a good defense. They had one good performance, but that was against a backup quarterback, a Division II quarterback, and the Jets offense, who never really had a franchise quarterback to begin with. So don't be shocked if the Chargers defense makes Zach Wilson look great. But today's topic isn't necessarily about the Chargers versus the Jets this Monday night. Today's topic is about Justin Herbert and the Los Angeles Chargers as a whole. So before I get into my little soliloquy, I want to talk about the whole thing about wasting talent because it's very apropos to this topic. So this past Monday night, I watched the Raiders versus the Lions. This was, of course, before Josh McDaniels, the head coach, Jim Lombardi, the offensive coordinator, and Max Ziegler, the GM, were fired. The Raiders currently have Max Crosby, the defensive end, Davante Adams, wide receiver, Marcus Epps, a safety, and Hunter Renfrow, a slot receiver. Now, some of them are Hall of Fame quality talent. I'm not saying they'll get into Canton, but these are quality talents. And then you have some of them who are very good assets. These are quality athletes that are being wasted by bad coaching and bad ownership. Davante Adams is the kind of player that you see catching 10 passes for 120 yards and 2 touchdowns in a playoff game. Same goes with Max Crosby. He should be recording 2 sacks, 8 tackles, 4 of them should be for losses, and recording key tackles in a key situational game in the playoffs. These are the kind of guys you want to see in the playoffs, not watching the playoffs along with us. And the same goes for the Chargers. They are currently 3-4, and with the game against the Jets, and knowing the Jets are going to be, I think the Jets should be favored by a point, maybe a point and a half. But again, I'm not Vegas, so I don't know how this whole thing works. But considering how well the Jets are playing, the optimism, the defense playing at a historic level, considering how they're fighting to keep their team in games. And since the Chargers defense are torchable, I wouldn't be shocked if the Chargers give up 20 or 27 points. And you're talking about wasted talent, and that's all falling on the shoulders of Brandon Staley to start with. Whether the Chargers make the playoffs this year or not, Brandon Staley should not be the head coach next season and going forward. Justin Herbert, Austin Eckler, Keenan Allen, Mike Williams, Gerald Everett, Derwin James, Asante Samuel Jr., Khalil Mack, Joey Bosa. Once again, these are not just Pro Bowl caliber players. These are not just all pro caliber players. These are Hall of Fame caliber talent. That doesn't mean all of them will get into Canton because they won't. I'm not saying they're Hall of Famers. I'm saying like the talent, the where they come from, the nepotism, like their family name, and there's just the talent alone. These are quality pieces that with any other coach or with any other team, these guys should be at least tied with Kansas City for the division lead. And if not threatening the Dolphins, the Jaguars, and the Chiefs for the top seed in the AFC. You should not be bad on defense with these pieces, and you should not be stalling in key situations with these offensive pieces. You should be making questionable decisions like going for it in your own territory when you have the game in hand. And you should not be going for it constantly in the red zone where you can just take the field goal and take the points. These things add up by the end of the game. A change in head coach could be the difference between a decent or a good team, or a good team and a very good team, and then very good team to a great team. I have a few lists of names that were like you saw a difference between head coaching changes. The LA Rams, Jeff Fisher to Sean McVay. The 49ers, Chip Kelly to Kyle Shanahan. Minnesota Vikings, Mike Zimmer to Kevin O'Connell. The Jets, Adam Gase to Robert Saleh. And the Lions, Matt Patricia and then Dan Campbell. Coaching matters. And right now, Brandon Staley isn't doing a great job. Stephen A. Smith once said on First Take that some guys are just meant to be coordinators, not head coaches. And this head coach, he relies on analytics. I respect any coach that is willing to push his chips in the middle of the table, but sometimes situations, momentum does matter. And his reluctance to understand the situation, to understand the momentum, to understand how things are going, how things are flowing, to make proper adjustments, and instead rely on numbers and analytics is hurting his team. And you're wasting the prime years of one of the most talented quarterbacks, not the most, but one of the most talented quarterbacks of his draft class. And who knows, when all is said and done, he could be one of the best throwers of his generation, and if not all time. Because that's a really thick list. You have Dan Fouts. You have John Elway. You have Peyton Manning. Brett Favre. Dan Marino. I think I already mentioned him. Jim Kelly. A lot of lists of guys who are excellent passers for their time and all time. I want to focus and discuss on some history. I've been watching some Marvel Disney products lately, specifically Loki. There's a character in Loki called Ouroboros. And Ouroboros is a snake eating its own tail, signifying the end as the beginning. The last franchise quarterback they had was Phillip Rivers. His last game for them was in 2019. Before that, it was Dan Fouts. So I'm going to bring up two sets of stats. First, I'm going to go with Dan Fouts. In his career with the Chargers, these are only stats about the Chargers. 86 wins, 254 touchdowns, over 43,000 passing yards, 6 Pro Bowls, 2-time first team All-Pro, 2-time second team All-Pro, and was one of the first quarterbacks to consistently throw over 4,000 yards. Now, mind you, his best years were the late 70s and throughout the early to mid 80s. Back then, quarterbacks weren't throwing 4,000 yards consistently. 3,500 yards and above, yes. But 4,000 yards, that was like the 5,000 yards today. And he was doing that in the 80s. That was back then where you could clothesline guys. That was back then where you can do whatever it takes just to knock a guy out. And people give you a Medal of Honor for that. Let's get into Phillip Rivers. Now, this is during the mid-2000s and then throughout the entirety of 2010s. 123 wins, 397 touchdowns, nearly 60,000 yards passing, 8 Pro Bowls, and he has one of the longest starting streaks in league history. Dan Fouts and Phillip Rivers are one of the best passers in franchise history. What's interesting is that both of them had a small window of success where it was their time to strike. There's like about 3, 4, 5 year period where they were probably in the best position to get to and win a Super Bowl. From 1979 to 1982, Dan Fouts and the Chargers had the best stretch of offense in NFL history. Four straight playoff appearances, 3 straight division titles, 2 conference championship appearances. And for Dan Fouts, he completed 60% of his passes, 16,000 yards passing, 104 touchdown passes, and 39 wins. The best during that fourth stretch. Better than the Niners, better than the Cowboys, better than the Washington Redskins at the time. Then you fast forward about 24 years later. From 2006 to 2009, Philip Rivers went through a similar patch. 4 straight playoff appearances, 4 straight division titles, a conference championship. For him alone, he was 63% completion percentage, 14,000 yards passing, 105 touchdown passes, and 46 wins. You talk about being similar. I mean, at least Rivers made the playoffs more often after that 4-year stretch. But they're both big. They're both strong. Have big mouths. They talk a lot of trash. They're both not very mobile. They both have star-studded tight ends and receivers. The year after Rivers leaves for Indianapolis, Justin Herbert enters the building. Justin Herbert's first day on the job, 22 of 33, 311 yards passing, a touchdown pass, 4 rushes, 18 yards rushing, and a touchdown rush. Did I not mention that he went one-on-one with one of the best teams in the league, the defending champions, Kansas City Chiefs, with one of the best quarterbacks, if not the best quarterback in the league right now, Patrick Mahomes? Argument can be made that they outplayed them. He is one of the most gifted throwers currently in the NFL. Time will tell if he's included as the best passer in the over 100-year history of the NFL. Right now, in the 3.5 seasons in the NFL. Actually, I'll take that back. These are 3 games. I think this is like 3 games right now. Close to 30 wins, over 100 touchdown passes, over 15,000 yards passing, 1 Pro Bowl, 1 playoff appearance. As of right now, he is a younger version of Matthew Stafford. Strong arm, quiet, carrying a snake-bitten franchise on his back with a decent to questionable head coach. There's always this theory with NFL teams, NFL fan bases, or not just sports fan bases, that there's a curse. I think people think that the Jets are cursed because they won that one Super Bowl back in 1968. I think the Lions went under the same curse. I think Bobby Lang cursed the team when they got traded, and he said that the team will never win for the next 50 years. There's always a curse around here. I think the Raiders are going through a curse with the John Gruden curse, maybe. They traded him, got to the Super Bowl, got annihilated, and haven't been the same since. I've been using this line of wording for a long time called, if it happens once, it's happenstance. If it occurs twice, it's a coincidence. And if it happens a third time, it's a pattern. For example, the Cowboys not making it past the divisional round every season since 1995 is a pattern. The Bengals at one time not making it past the wild card round is a pattern. The Browns and the Bears not supporting or just simply botching every first round pick is a pattern. Stephen A. Smith getting the NBA Finals wrong every season is a pattern. They had Dan Fouts, played for 15 seasons, maybe 16 seasons, no rings. Philip Rivers, played for 15, 16 seasons, no rings. And now you have Justin Herbert. Are the Chargers going to go and spend the next 15 years wasting this man's career? Now, I don't know how the Chargers can win a Super Bowl. I mean, I'm not a general manager. I'm not an NFL analyst. I am just a fan, just like you guys. The state of the NFL as far as the AFC is concerned is the Chiefs are the number 1 seed, tied with the Dolphins, tied with the Jaguars, tied with the Ravens, going in that order. Then you have the Bills, the Steelers, and the Browns. The Chargers are currently 12th best team as far as record is concerned. The Titans, Texans, Jets are better than the Chargers as far as record is concerned. So how can the Chargers get to a Super Bowl down the road? First, get a smart and progressive head coach that is good at his side of the ball, because Brandon Staley is a defensive minded head coach whose defense is the bottom of the league. So if you don't get a head coach, make sure he can get his side of the ball correct. I don't care if it's defense, offense, special teams. Find that coach that can galvanize the troops, put together a great game plan, and be great at adjusting and understanding the flow of the game. Next, you have to shave off some contracts. There's going to be some guys who are going to be up for some big contracts, and you have to get rid of them. You have to find better linemen in the draft. You have to protect your golden goose, Justin Herbert. You have to make sure that the receiving core is young and active, and you just gotta just be good at transactions. Don't take huge swings at past their prime players. Find the right core players, veterans and youth, that can support this young quarterback and be good down the line. Now, the unfortunate reality of the Chargers is that you have to deal with the Kansas City Chiefs throughout the duration of Andy Reid in the Mahomes era. It was hard for Charles Barkley to get past Jordan. Dan Marino struggled to get past the Bills in his own division. And now you have Justin Herbert with a franchise that has a history of excellent Hall of Fame quality talent, not just quarterback talent, high quality talent. And they struggle to win games, win playoff games, and get to Super Bowls. And do you know what's worse, knowing that you are in the second most talented quarterback in your own division, is dealing with a better organization. Clark Hunt, a better GM, a better head coach, and a better quarterback. It's way harder. And not only that, the Kansas City Chiefs actually have a home field advantage. The Chargers, opposing teams take over that stadium constantly. Whether it's a Rams or Chargers game, it's now a home field advantage. You're pretty much playing 16 road games every single season. And it makes it hard for you guys to actually build a rapport, build a fan base, and actually feel like you're walking into a situation where if you go on defense for the final drive, you might have a chance to at least disrupt timing on offense, disrupt the snap. I mean, hell, I remember one time watching, I think it was a Seahawks versus Giants game, maybe in 2006 or 5. The Giants had so many false starts, it was amazing because of the home field advantage. I feel bad for Justin Herbert really because I know he's a really good player. And I know he tries. And again, I said this, he reminds me of Stafford. He's stuck on a bad team. And the moment he left, he went to a good team, aggressive owner, aggressive GM, a good, smart, offensive-minded head coach. One season, they go and win the Super Bowl. And the whole point with Stafford is, it wasn't just to try to get into the Hall of Fame. It was to validate what we already knew. We all knew that he was good. We all knew that he was talented. We all knew that if he had better talent around him, and better support and better organization, he can flourish. And that's what happens. I mean, look, Brady during his prime years, the Patriots were well run. Patrick Mahomes, he's really good, but guess what? You need support too. That support around him makes him better. The Cincinnati Bengals, for now, are doing good things. Hopefully, don't mess it up. The Bills, since Brandon Beane, I think that's his name for the Buffalo Bills. Right now, he's doing a good job in surrounding Josh Allen with quality talent. Steelers have a history of doing that too. Ravens, and now the Dolphins. So right now, if Justin Herbert, because you can carry a team so far, carrying a team should only be about what, 5-6 games a year. That shouldn't be the narrative every single game, because you're gonna kill your quarterback and you're gonna create this narrative where it's like, I have to score 35, I have to score 40, and that can't happen every single game. It's in the Arena League. So I want to thank everybody who's been listening. I think my viewership has been going up a little bit. I mean, I think I started out getting like 10 people to listen to this podcast, and now my latest podcast, which was the Teen Titans video, got 70 viewers. I think one of my podcasts had 100 viewers one time. So, starting to create a fan base right now. I'm currently still trying to improve on the mic right now, but we're working constantly. Thank you for everybody who listened. This podcast can only be viewed on the One Man Island Productions YouTube channel. Clips of the podcast can be viewed on Instagram, Snapchat, TikTok, and YouTube Shorts. I am Trudy Collins, and I'll see you guys in the future.